Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this evening Blizzard pushed a new build to both PTR and Dragonflight Beta, and with that came a handful of spicy and honestly sort of big Warlock changes, mostly looking at Demonology, I guess mostly looking at the class tree, and some also for Demonology. Not a whole lot for Destro and AF, but these changes will also affect Destro and AF, potentially in a pretty big way, so I want to talk about all of that tonight. Now, briefly, there was indeed, yes, a build push to PTR. That PTR build does have the new talents for, I think, most of the classes. There's no Evoker class available, but I think you can play the new talents on PTR. So if you don't have beta yet, you can hop on there. There is no Dragonflight content, no like zones or anything, but hey, you can run around Ouroboros in a circle and look at your new talents. And yeah, also, before we get into the video, I did mention it in the previous video that I put out last night looking at Demonology and things. I have indeed started a second YouTube channel. It is for like clips and short segments from stream and things like that. It is called Kalamazi Clips. There's a link down below. I would assume in the description and also probably in the comment section as well if I'm still up when this video goes live. It's just for that. Clips from stream, short little segments here and there, this and that. It's pretty awesome. I've been wanting to make it for like a year, honestly, now roughly. I've got a lot of clips I can put up. Some are already up and they're pretty awesome. So if you guys want to check it out, link down below. If you want to sub to it or watch some of the clips, it'd be awesome. With that being said, let's just jump into the video, starting off with probably the biggest, well, I guess most controversial change today. The Fellhunter spell lock change. Alrighty, so this came out a little bit earlier before the actual notes are pushed to PTR and beta and things. This is just a Wellhead article. TLDR, they have indeed removed the actual spell lock from the Warlock themselves. They put it back on the Fellhunter. They go on here talking about that they tried to make it like a choice node, which is talked about in the max deep dives and the feedback that we've given on it, but it really didn't work out very well. I'm not sure the exact wording they mentioned here. Spelllock is iconic to the Fellhunter's identity. It has a lot of history with it. We considered making this a choice style node, but ultimately felt that we wanted to retain the gameplay of knowing what a Warlock is capable of by what demon they are accompanied by. So, I mean, I don't really think that changes that gameplay. I get what they're saying. I think in the long run, if we don't have the option of a choice node, having it on our Fellhunter is the better option, because 9 times out of 10, it's just better. Or it's the same, if not better, right? For the most part, you're not interrupting your own spells to kick a mob, right? Your pet will, kick it instead for you. A fight like Il'gynoth, for example, or a fight where you have, ads across the room, or some ad needs to be kicked, out of range of most casters, you can send your pet across the room, tell them to stay there, and kick the mob whenever you need to. That kind of utility is often overlooked, and one of the reasons why the Fellhunter was a pretty solid option when it came to certain raid fights needing that kind of utility. There are also times where you have to play Grimoire of Sacrifice, which ties into another part of this video. Hopefully you guys like Sacrifice because it got a lot better today. Which you had to play Sacrifice because at times your pet's across the room playing around and it won't kick the mob that's way over here instead. That spawns in a random location. So like I said, 9 times out of 10, having the kick bound to your Fellhunter is technically the better option. Having a choice node would make that, great across the board, right? For those fights where you need to have that player bound kick, hey, you got it. But it is what it is. I'm sort of just whatever about it at this point. I just want to move on with more relevant changes. So if given the option, I'd love an actual, hybrid node, a choice node. But the interesting thing is that due to that change, the actual talent node that we have here is no longer spell lock at the top. It is now Demonic Circle. So Demonic Circle is essentially a baseline ability for every single spec. And I'm going to say, like, Demonic Circle is better than having a kick being baseline sort of up here. I mean, for the most part, right? A player bound one, or having your curses be baseline. So I guess the glass half full, you sort of got some kind of relevant utility change in the tree. The rest of it's still sort of interesting, but there were also a handful of changes today. So putting that aside, let's take a look at those. Okay, so Warlock in general, spell lock been removed. We know that. Yep. Demonic Circle has been removed to row 1. There's that. Abyss Walker has been removed to row 3. Now, Abyss Walker is this ability here. It's not very good. But the cool thing is that you want this for the most part, and probably want this. So you can just take these and unlock this talent and unlock this talent here. So it's there if you want it. It's pretty mediocre and probably undertuned by a good bit, but it's sort of better than nothing. Now, the Demonology part here. I will say there is a large section of the changes today that is left out of here. It is in this part of the, changes right here. We'll talk about it in a minute here. So Demo changes. We actually changed to Demonology here. Born of Blood and Shadow's Bite have swapped places. Now, this is, I would assume, in response to the feedback being given around Implosion being oddly inaccessible when it comes to a lot of like builds, because you had Shadow's Bite being here. And I mean, you're taking Born of Blood regardless, right? Born of Blood's just good across the board. You want it everywhere. It's like your bread and butter for Demonology. It makes the spec so much more better, just fluent, all the above, right? So they've changed this where you have, Dogs, Demon Bolt, Falcommando into Born of Blood. So basically every build's going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4 grabbing Born, and most of this top part filled in either way. The fact that you go Demon Bolt into Born of Blood and not Demon Bolt into Shadow's Bite being here, I think makes Implosion feel much, much better. I wish it was a little more central-ish, but at the same time, you're putting a point in Born of Blood every time. So instead of having to commit essentially 2 points to getting Implosion, because while this was here, like while this node, Shadow's Bite, was here, I feel like in the majority of settings, unless you're playing a weird Demon Bolt build, you really don't want this. You're essentially committing 2 points to get Implosion, and 1 being in mostly an irrelevant talent. I think this thing should just go in the long run. I don't think it's very good, but it's whatever. But you're taking Born of Blood in every setting now regardless, so it's easier to get Implosion. It is indeed now fixed also on beta. You can fully implode every imp with 1 cast, which is cool. So Shadow's Bite has been moved here. Now, the one downside is that it makes Grim Inquisitors a bit more awkward to grab by going like, Bolt into here, because like Grim was super sick before. You can just go Demon Bolt into Born of Blood being here, and then Grim. Just 1, 1, 1, bang. Now, everything is still 1, 1, 1, but to a similar extent, like Shadow's Bite, it just feels awkward in this tree. Like it's a weird, like, single target niche kind of ability that, I mean, Grim does bring a bit more like general damage. Like it's more like sustained damage in AoE. It's sustained in single target. It's just good all around, right? Your dogs can AoE with Dread Bite and FTS, or they can just do more damage in single target. I think having it here makes more sense. It is a step in the right direction to addressing the Implosion issue. It's probably not really much of an issue in general now. But you have the option of going either into Shadow's Bite, like in Mythic Plus to get Grim Inquisitors, or you can go like, over here and grab Inner Demons into Grim Inquisitors, maybe then opt to go like, I don't know, 2 points less somewhere else. Maybe just not have 2 points at Houndmasters or something along those lines, right? So we'll look at more builds over the next few days, and I did put the demo video out last night, but I mean, that's just, the world we live in. It's beta. This change overall, I think, is pretty good. It makes Implosion more accessible. It just feels better. It felt like you were committing 2 points, or like a point or 2, to a wasted ability in Shadow's Bite before. Now it feels much better. You're grabbing Born every time. That's good to go. So, other changes here. Ner'zhul's Volition has been updated. When Nether Portal summons a demon. Now, pay attention to the wording here. When Nether Portal summons a demon, it has a 15 and 30% chance to summon an additional demon. So, okay, this is right here. Now, they have doubled down on the weird, like, Shadowbolt hand, Shadowbolt hand, Shadowbolt hand, 1 shard, build their spender, rotation of Nether Portal. They have some weird fixation with this. I don't know what it is, why they do that, but it is what it is. So, this ability rewards you for summoning demons. It doesn't say, like, per demon summon. It just says summoning when Nether Portal summons a demon. So every time you basically proc the portal with that, 1-1 back and forth sequencing, there is a 15 or 30% chance to summon a demon whenever that happens, which, I mean, 2 points here, right? Now, this was, I think, 2 and 4 before, percent-wise. It obviously needed a pretty big buff, and it got it. So there's that. It's nice. It'll be a sim thing in the long run to see how good it is. I mean, more demons does mean more Reign of Tyranny value, but Reign of Tyranny is pretty bad right now anyways. So we'll see where that goes, but it's a cool change if you like having more demons out. The weird, like, 1 shard spenders is not very exciting, but I don't know. What can you do, man? I just work here. So the final ability, Gul'dan's Ambition, that was changed as well. And this is a little interesting. So Gul'dan's Ambition has been updated. When Nether Portal ends, you summon a Pit Lord that gains power based on how many demons you've summoned, up to 20 demons when Nether Portal was active. The Pit Lord lasts 10 seconds. So I can tell you right now, I've tested it already. We'll look at it in combat here in a minute too. The Pit Lord still does no damage. He is still not extended by Tyrant. I don't know if he counts towards Tyrant. I'm not really sure, or Reign of Tyranny, however you want to word it. But this ability is very interesting because the wording is sort of cryptic. I'm not sure. Nice voice crack. I'm not sure if... So the wording says, when Nether Portal ends, you summon a Pit Lord that gains power based on how many demons you summoned, up to 20 while the portal is active. The question is, is that demons that you, the player, summoned, like Dreadstalkers and Imps? Or is it demons from the portal? Or is it both? And the answer is I don't know, because we'll look at it in combat in a minute. The ability is bugged like everything else in the Warlock trees, but I think it's sort of a step in the right direction. If it's supposed to be one or the other and not both, like just demons from the portal or just demons from you, there is no shot you come anywhere near even 15 demons, let alone 20. If it's just from the portal, you're summoning like 5, unless it's like counting random, ones that had summoned like 3, if like 3 things spawn at once from one, portal being summoned, if that makes sense. Good lord. If 3 pets spawn from like casting 1 shard, just based on RNG from the portal, but like, I don't know. This ability is weird. We'll look at it in combat in a minute here. Yeah, but they're trying to make this portal build more, I guess, just synergistic, and it sort of makes sense, but I don't like them doubling down on the weird, like, just Shadowbolt hand sequencing, but it is what it is. The final change that was not talked about here, and this is a big one actually, they have updated these abilities in the class tree to work with Grimoire of Sacrifice. So Demonic Inspiration right here, where is it? Somewhere here. Yeah, filling a soul shard increases the haste of your primary demon or pet by 5 for 8 seconds. Wrathful Minion, filling a soul shard gives you 5% more damage done for 8 seconds, right? But they've added a clause to this for Destro and Af, which have Sacrifice. If you have this ability and you're playing Sacrifice, Demonic Inspiration instead increases Grimoire of Sax damage by 15%. The same goes for Wrathful Minion. So this is a large buff of Sacrifice. Like, Sacrifice typically is pretty similar to like pet damage overall. I think it's typically a little bit behind, but you lose some utility. You get the kick, but you lose like the Devour Magic from the Fell Hunter, all that stuff. But a 30% buff to its damage if you have both these talents is pretty impressive. And I would assume, I mean, I can do basic math, but like, I would assume that a 5% haste buff for 8 seconds, which probably is almost like permanent buff, and a 5% damage buff on your pet, which is almost permanent, is not as strong as a 30% buff to an ability, but it gets better. On top of that, Soul Armor. When Grimoire of Sac is active, your stamina is increased by 5%, but Soul Armor, or whatever that talent's called, is not just 1 rank, it is actually 2. So I can change to Destro here. We don't have Sacrifice, it's in here somewhere, I don't know, let's try and grab this quickly. Sacrifice, let's go here, and we'll take this out, go there, right? 1.1 for the road, right there we go, perfect. Looking over here, once this changes, it will show the damage increase Sacrifice on Wrathful Minion, there it is. On Demonic Inspiration, there it is. And down here, if I take 2 points out of here and go into Soul Armor, I have a 10% stamina increase. Now, the stamina increase is bugged currently, like everything else. If you sack your pet, you don't get the actual stamina increase, but I haven't tested the damage effect yet. So with that being said, let's look at both the demo build and the sack damage in combat now. So as far as the demo stuff is concerned, the changes to Ner'zhul's Volition and Gul'dan's Ambition, all that stuff, this is the build that I've chosen to play. There could be some changes made here and there. I am 68. When you're 70, you'll have 1 more point, which probably goes into like expendables maybe. So yeah, you have obviously Portal, Tyrant, Soulbound Tyrant, Reign of Tyranny. Wilfred's is quite possibly better than Reign of Tyranny. Reign is pretty under-tuned right now, and I checked it, it's not bugged. It's just not doing a whole lot of damage, but we'll put this note aside because it doesn't really change a whole lot with the Pit Lord and things. So keep in mind the Pit Lord is not extended by Tyrant. I don't think it contributes to Tyrant, and the damage is sort of bad, but we'll take a look at how it looks in combat. So let me start up logs here. Let's get this going. I'll pull out my actual pet, get him out. Let's do this to it. I am playing like, tier from retail. It's fine. It's not a big deal. Won't skew things very much. Trust me. Pit Lord's still bad, unfortunately. So we're going to precast our bolts. I'll try and walk you all through it. Precast bolt into an aggressive pet. Nether Portal, Grimoire, Felguard, Vile Fiend, Dogs. So that's 2 pets being summoned. 5 technically there. We can Shadowbolt Hand. Shadowbolt Hands, that's 6 pets. And I'll just Tyrant now. So technically it summons 7 pets right there, right? So look at the actual Tyrant when he comes out. He has a buff of 6. Damage will increase by 18, haste increased by 30. And the buff also has a duration on it. So he's currently not extendable with your Tyrant. And even if he is, chances are decent that buff won't be extended either. That could all change, but his damage is pretty subpar as well. Now, regardless of how good he is damage-wise, whatever right now, the weird thing is that, so I cast a Grimoire Felguard, a Vile Fiend, a Dog Set, and what, 2 hands, right? And that was, yeah, and 2 hands. So that was theoretically 5 pet summons from the portal, or like a lot more than 6 pets, because it's a Grimoire, a Vile Fiend, 3 dogs, and 2 imps. So that's 7 pets, right? So, but he came out with 6 stacks. So like, there's something weird going on. I'm pretty sure it's bugged, or it's counting like maybe an extra pet from the portal, or if like 1 portal summon 2 pets. I'm not sure if it works off of like individual summons from the portal or not. But one thing that we can tell is that it is not both. It is not both the pets you summon with raw Hand of Gul'dan and pets from the portal, or Hand of Gul'dan / dogs, whatever. It's not both the pets you summon, like the abilities you have, and the pets from the portal. It seems to just be, well, honestly, I don't really know. It's not a lot. With that being said, like, there is no way, even with power infusion, you are getting anywhere near a stack of 20 with this ability. So hopefully it's bugged. Hopefully it ends up being both, like your Hand of Gul'dan cast and your dog cast and your Grimoires and the pets that those abilities being cast summon from the portal. But as of right now, like, in the early iterations, this ability is cool, but still, unfortunately, really undertuned. Alrighty, so I'm not going to show the actual in-game combat for Sacrifice because it's just sort of boring. It's basic Destro stuff. I will say that I noticed Grimoire of Synergy is not working with Sacrifice. There's no, like, special procs you get on yourself. That needs to be addressed, obviously. I think it works on retail now where you just get procs even if you sack your pet. Probably an oversight needs to be worked on because that's, you know, obviously an issue, right? But yeah, so here are the actual builds, or like the 2 tests from hitting it. Now, this is going to be the non-sacrifice build. I played this build here. It's not optimal. Sacrifice is in a weird spot for Destro. I didn't think it was this far over to the tree, and like, some odd abilities trying to go to it. But I grabbed it. I did 1 build with the imp out attacking passively, and 1 where I sacrificed it. I think nothing changed here. The exact same talents, Demonic Inspiration, Wrathful Minion. Here are the results. So first test here, this is without no sacrifice. Pet's still out. Look at the damage breakdown. So my pet's sitting at about 9.47%, right? And that's like all the pet damage, right? There's like no like dread bite, then melee broken up between, you know, dogs and stuff. My imp did about 9.47% of my damage, which is not bad. I mean, pet damage is normalized, so all pets do the same, except for the actual succubus, which has the whiplash ability, and it does more damage if it stacks on a target for a while. But for the most part, it should be within the realm of like 9.5, I would assume, to like 11% if it's succubus, right? Now keep in mind, once again, if you sack your pet, at times, depending on the pet you sack, you'll get like spell lock, but you won't get devour magic, so you don't have the full utility. But yeah, so about, what did we do damage wise? About 13,489. It was like 2.5 minutes, something like that. You know, just regular Destro stuff, nothing crazy. Here is the actual sacrifice version. 13,503, very close. Damage doesn't really matter a whole lot, just sort of funny. Look at the breakdown though. Sacrifice did 12.5% of our damage, so it is literally 3% higher than what our pet is, like 3.1% higher. Average, let's see, what's the average hit? Sack, the average, I guess average hit was about 4k. 7k max crit, average non-crit hit being 3, max non-crit hit being 3.5k. It's not too bad. DPS is about 1.7k versus our pet being roughly about 1.3k. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. A 30% buff to sacrifice with both these abilities. Keep in mind, like both Wrathful Minion and Demonic Inspiration were working on our imp here. I don't know if you can see it in logs, might be able to. Like, they were actually ticking on him. Yeah, here, they're up. It's full uptime. It's actually permanent uptime on them because we're generating shards so fast as Destro, right? Permanent uptime on both effects, barring a little tick right here. Compared to like Sacrifice just doing what, 400 more DPS roughly, about 3% more damage. So it's interesting. Now, Sacrifice is in a weird spot for both AF and Destro in the tree, and like you're going through, you know, if you're going over here to get Sacrifice for whatever reason, you're grabbing like probably like in single target or like 2 target, like improved Immolate, Backlash, Scalding Flames into like Sacrifice, which isn't that bad, but you might be losing out on like Shadowburn and Conflagration of Chaos or like Soulfire and things, right? We can work on builds a bit down the line, but like, it's a 3% damage increase over having our pet out with both these abilities here. Sacrifice, like, hey, if you wanted a pet kick, or if you wanted a player-bound kick, Sacrifice might be your way of getting it, just sort of in a weird kind of workaround way. But yeah, a 15 and 15% stacking damage amp to sack. I don't like sacrifice, really. It should be a flat damage buff to the player or like an intellect buff, but whether you like an ability or not, just like how internal combustion is at times, which could be good with this ability here too also. We'll get to that in another video. Whether you like it or not, if the ability is good, if it's hitting a lot harder than maybe it should be, or maybe like, you know, other abilities are, without much, you know, commitment to like leaving things behind or losing, you know, good talents, it might just be worth grabbing. So I'm not saying sack is like utterly insane, but the damage difference between sack, like sacking your pet and not with these talents, is actually pretty big. We'll see where it goes. So yeah, that about wraps it up, dudes. Thanks for watching. Now, the changes that were made today weren't like huge changes to every spec. The classes were, I guess the specs weren't redesigned, everything completely, but I'm hoping over the next few weeks the class tree is iterated upon a bit more, because like I'm still not very happy with the capstone talents. A couple things probably could change, like even in the mid part of the tree. But seeing them working towards like making more sacrifice relevant, or I guess I shouldn't say relevant, I should say functional. I think it's a nod to them reading over feedback, not just mine, but there's been a lot of feedback in the forums talking about a sacrifice being subpar, but not working with Wrathful Minion, not working with Demonic, whatever it's called. So adding those 15% buffs, like damage-wise, into the ability is pretty cool. Also having 10% more stamina whenever you sack your pet with Soul Link, or whatever it's called, Soul Armor, I think, is pretty nifty. It's how it used to be back in the day. Even though it's not working on beta right now, I would assume it gets fixed. And I like the way they're taking the demo tree. I might be going out on a limb here, and maybe like I don't know, maybe it's not the majority take, but I like the way Ner'zhul's Volition and Gul'dan's Ambition look. I just think that like they could easily be altered and changed to being a, you know, what, like based on how many shards you spent, not that weird like Shadowbolt hand sequencing that we get a lot, you know, most of the time with Nether Portal. But either way, they're cool. I would assume the Pit Lord gets buffed a lot more. Probably still, you know, going under initial changes and things, because I tested it a few more times too, off I guess stream here, and yeah, I don't know, it's getting like weird buffs, like 6 stacks, 8 stacks, 9 stacks, 2 stacks. I didn't summon any amount of pets that would equal 6, 7, 8, or 9, but hey, you know what, it is what it is. We're getting there. Hopefully these bugs are fixed, not just for Demo, but Destro and Af in the class tree in the next build. Hopefully next week, we can go from there. I should be hitting 70 in the next day or two here as well, and we can get some final testing going with like other builds and stuff. I've heard Af and Destro, Af's sort of buggy still. Destro wasn't that bad, so that very well could be the next video coming out of like class and spec overviews. But I've also heard some spicy things about Af, and there's some good like Doom Blossom builds out there too, which is pretty spicy. So we'll get to that. With all that being said, I want to give one big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys many times for supporting Patreon. Really appreciate it, guys. Much love. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, it should be a link up here as well as down in the video description below. And I do want to say that once again, the Warlock Dragonflight beta spreadsheet will indeed be, I guess, probably being worked on and or created in the next week and a half or so. The tier 3 Felguard rank my Patreon higher does indeed get early access to that. With all that being said, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.